making my way through Connecticut, and I wanted to stop at this very unusual graveyard here. This is the Connecticut Valley Hospital, the old cemetery. The Connecticut Valley Hospital is an old psychiatric ward. Huge, probably one of the biggest in the country. At one time back in the day had something like 80 buildings to it and housed over 3,000 people. It's historically known as the Connecticut General Hospital for the Insane. It opened in 1868 and grew into one of the largest facilities of its kind in the country. But this is the original graveyard that they used from 1878 until 1957. Just under 1,700 bodies are buried here. And if you look very closely, you will see there are no names on these graves, only numbers. With a little research that I could do online of this place, there's some really, they're not specific about who died this way, but there's a lot of odd deaths that happened. Suicides, of course, illness, of course, but weird ones like fire, drowning, possibly in bathtubs, and even one died from a bull attack. I'm assuming these all happened on the property of the hospital. Who knows? Now, one of the more notable graves here, all the way down to the end, or I should say the very beginning, grave number 1. This is Curtis Brown's grave, and he was the first to be buried in this cemetery way back in 1878. I don't know how he died. There's a lot of unusual deaths that occurred here, but there's something like just under 1,700 bodies buried here. Online says 1,688, but I was able to find all the way to 1,699 right here. This is a first for me. I've never seen this. I've seen some unmarked graveyards and some numbered graveyards, but never one that has a full directory here. You can look up every name who's buried in this graveyard, from number 1 all the way up to what I believe is 1699. Probably the most interesting to note is this right here, Ode to Grandfather Jim. Bernie James, number 403, died in 1906 at 55 years old. And there's a poem here. Certainly pause to read. I'm not going to read this whole poem, but it is very touching. It's almost like he was brought here unbeknownst to his family members, and they had no idea where their grandfather went. In fact, that's quite common back in the day with these mental illness hospitals, where sometimes the family didn't even know that their loved one was shipped away to these places. And in this case, they didn't find out that their grandfather was here until they found his grave. Here's Grandpa Jim, 403, from the poem. Imagine searching for years for your grandfather and finally finding what happened to him, finally finding his burial, his final resting place. Crazy situation. A lot of people take pictures of this one just because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This was Walter Moore, died in 1936 at 76 years old. Again, I don't know how these people died. It does not say. And of course, some of you probably want me to show you this one. Probably the most popular out here as far as photographs go. Number 666. This is Jenny Gavin, died in 1916 at 51 years old. She has the unlucky number of 666. For some reason, these are buried off completely out of order. They're off to the side here. 1,074, 1,010, and 945. Very strange. Who knows? I mean, who knows about record keeping and how well it was done? It seems that these old cemeteries, there always seems to be some hiccups in their paperwork. Maybe there's bodies buried out here in the woods. In fact, look at this one. This is really the only one that I was able to find that had multiple numbers on it. So who knows? Very strange. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 8 numbers on here. If you continue past these graves, it opens up into just open fields. And I suspect that this was probably farmland 50 years ago or 100 years ago. There's an old well there, possibly remnants of it there. And then it looks like even there's just over this hill, you could see an old piece of farm equipment or something. So most likely there are either animals here or there were things being grown here, which could also explain why that one person was killed by a bull. You know, it could have been a cow. So if you're into this sort of thing, look it up online. Like I said, the Connecticut Valley Hospital Cemetery, they haven't buried anyone here since 1957. You might uncover some interesting stuff. But just a quick video. I wanted to show you what it looked like out here. Getting back on the road, heading north. Thanks for watching.